Anyway, so I've seen this before, is that it sure looks like Marvel movies are pretty much falling off. I don't know if you guys have noticed this yourselves, but I certainly have. Marvel movies are really not doing very well at all.
I had a piece of stubborn lip skin that I ripped off right before starting this recording, so my lip might bleed a little bit.
Yep.
Don't be concerned. That's just part of being 31 years old now. Even something as simple...
You old as fuck. Damn.
Taking a little bit of chapped lip skin off is enough
That's
to
bad.
have me bleeding profusely, it seems. But, you know what else is bleeding? Marvel
34?
at the box
35.
office. Now, this is a conversation in cinema that happens more frequently than people debating whether or not Sam and Frodo were gay. So many people...
Not gay. They were not gay. Absolutely not. Not gay. I know the end of Return of the King. That's not gay. That's brotherhood. Okay?
Since the
Very
end of
different.
Endgame have talked about how
Yes.
Marvel is dead and dying, and that superhero fatigue had finally reached its molten core where everyone was done with MCU and how bad the quality was. But despite all of that hoopla, pretty much all of the MCU projects did decently well for the most part. Like, even unanimously hated stinkers like Ant-Man Quantumania still generated like $500 million. But the quality did significantly decline, and a lot of people were getting tired of it. And some did actually not do well, like the Marvels. But on the whole, the MCU was still fine in the box office, but it was showing signs of weakness.
Same with Star Wars,
they've released two decent movies back-to-back, Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four. But they're not exactly doing the billion-dollar nut-busting that the MCU was known for. Fantastic Four is experiencing a 80% drop from its debut, so going into its second week here, it has declined significantly.
Jesus.
It had a great start, and it had incredibly strong word of mouth, but it doesn't seem like that's translating to asses in seats. And
it's just that people are I think that it's not really superhero fatigue, because the Superman movie immediately proves that not to be true, right? The Superman movie was a massive success. So I don't think it's Pedro Pascal fatigue either, because he's not in every single movie, every single Marvel movie. It's woke fatigue. No, I think that people are just tired of the MCU. And this is kind of what happened again with WoW, is that after the Lich King died, the game ended, basically, for a lot of people. Because this was the storyline. Everybody, whenever World of Warcraft came out, every single player who started that game probably played Warcraft 3. And every single one of them knew that Illidan was coming. They knew that the Lich King was coming. They knew it was going to happen. It was only a matter of time. And with Warcraft 3, it ended on that. That was the main antagonist of the entire Warcraft universe. Deathwing, Sargeras, the Void Lords, these are all abstractions that people don't really care about in the same way that they care about the Lich King. And you can compare it to Marvel, is that Thanos is an individual person, and he's not an abstraction like the Celestials or like Galactus. These are forces of nature that you can't really personify and make good villains out of. And because of that, it makes it way harder for people to relate to them and make them compelling enemies. And so I think what happens is that now that you have this totally different, like thing, after Endgame was over, everything that happened from Iron Man 1 to Endgame was one story. In my opinion, that, the Harry Potter movies, Lord of the Rings, and maybe 2 or 3 other like cinema series, nothing is a larger cinema accomplishment than having a 2008 to 2018 10-year run of massively successful movies that all culminated with the climax being amazing. It was not a letdown. It was insanely fucking good. The multiverse, it's too lazy. Yeah, I think people don't like the multiverse because it takes away the it takes away the permanence of anything that happened. And that was something I complained about with Endgame even. But like, you see what I'm saying, is that whenever the Lich King died in World of Warcraft, the game was over for a lot of people. And then the same thing with Thanos, is that Thanos had been the villain in like maybe not the direct villain, but he had been the villain by abstraction, or he had been the big bad guy for a very long time. When he's over, there was nothing else really to replace him. And I think that was bad.
Thunderbolts was the same thing. People saw it, they were surprised by how good it was, saying, you know, Marvel's fucking back, baby. Fuck all your seatbelts, because we are in it again. But then that also didn't have the strongest box office run, which is now leading to the bigger conversation that's been had a lot about the state of the MCU. Are people just tired of it? Is superhero fatigue really setting in now, finally?
No.
Or is it
Absolutely
mainly
not.
just Marvel? Because Superman has done great in the box office. It has been fucking slapping in the box office. And it's a good movie. Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four are also good movies, especially in a sea of dog shit that Marvel had been farting out for quite a few years, with a few exceptions like Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. And now it's left a lot of people wondering, well, what the fuck's going on? Why are they not having strong box office performances when these are finally some decent films from Marvel again?
Because they've trained people to ignore their films. Because they've made multiple bad films previously. So when you make 5 bad films and the 6th one is good, don't expect people to show up for that. Because you've just trained them for 5 times that your content's bad. It's a pattern.
To be fair, I think it's a little overblown with Fantastic Four flopping and all of that with that narrative that's being spun. It's still at $370 million worldwide in its second weekend. That is still pretty solid, but against its budget and its marketing, it still needs to make like $450 million or something from the reports I read. Yeah. Same with the Thunderbolts. The Thunderbolts generated $380 million total across its lifespan in theaters, and it needed about $450 million for that break even. So like it's still...
I think that Fantastic Four will probably break even, but the Thunderbolts never will.
Does have a little ways to go, but it's not doing like dreadfully. Like I don't think all the Marvel execs are in full force panic mode, sweating, contemplating, sitting on a cactus or something, like worried that it's all dried up and Marvel's dead. But it is less than you would expect for some actually good Marvel movies. It's an interesting topic because, again, this is a conversation that's been had a lot, but I had always just said, yeah, the films have gotten worse, but there's always going to be an audience for it. They're always going to make like over $500 million.
The difference is that the Thunderbolts isn't a noteworthy, like Sentry, the Thunderbolts, these characters, these are like abstract Marvel Comics characters. Like, if you think about the amount of people who know who Sentry is versus the amount of people who know who Galactus or Thanos is, it's a mountain versus a molehill. So, same with the Thunderbolts versus the Avengers. Sentry's a shit character, too? Well, what I'm saying, it doesn't matter, right? That's not my point. My point is that everybody knows Thor, everybody knows the Hulk, everybody knows Iron Man. They don't know Sentry. They don't know the Blue Beetle. They don't know Captain Marvel, even. They don't know Ironheart. So these characters don't have this massive social presence that everybody's aware of. Everybody knows Spider-Man. Exactly. Do you see kind of what my point is here?
Turns out that is not the case. These are better movies than the ones that were coming before it and performing much better. But it really does seem like people are checking out. A lot of people are starting to view the MCU kind of like homework, that you have to do like prerequisite reading and watching the shows beforehand and catch up on like 5 and 6 movies just to be able to go watch one of the films and understand or appreciate it. So
that's actually a really good point, and I think that he's right about this, is that a lot of the earlier Marvel movies, like they didn't have as many inside jokes, there wasn't as much interplay with them. Like, if you go back and you even watch, like, I think that a great example of this is, like, you know, Thor Ragnarok. Like, you can watch that movie without seeing any of the previous movies at all, and you can still have a good time. But whenever you have all of these shows and everything, and also it's like, it's a matter of, like, so much content where people are just exhausted. They're just exhausted. Like, it's just too much in general.
People found that to be kind of tedious. And also, I think a lot of people were just tired of MCU in general, because they would release like 4 films a year, all of which were mediocre at best. And now they've finally got 2 like pretty strong films, but a lot of people just don't really care about the word of mouth.
Shouldn't have brought out the shitty ones.
They're just kind of done with it, it seems. And to be honest, it's kind of hard to blame them. I can totally see why.
Well, also, Endgame was a thematic end to the MCU. Really, it was a thematic end. That's it. Because, like, all of the threats in the MCU that are beyond, I think, Thanos, they become so cosmic, intergalactic, planetary, godlike that it's hard for a normal person to even like comprehend. It's like the power scaling is so high that it's beyond like a natural comprehension, right? It's power. Yeah, the power creep is way too big.
So many superhero movies coming out, and a lot of them in the last like 5 or so years being really underwhelming. Why would you keep getting excited and seeing every single new one? You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Even the ones that do get a lot of hype and glaze, it's hard to just want to go see that, because then you still have to wonder, will I even understand it? Because I didn't watch the last couple and I didn't watch any of the shows. And in Thunderbolt's case and Fantastic Four's case, you don't need to. You can go in them and entirely enjoy them by their own merit. They stand on their own two legs, especially Fantastic Four. It is all self-contained. So it sucks to see that it's not doing well, but it's not like I blame the general audience for not going and seeing it.
You can never blame the audience. If you make content and people aren't consuming it, it's your fault. It's simple.
There has
it's
been
extremely common.
Way too many underwhelming superhero films for them to just blindly trust that this is finally a good one, right? But I don't think it's like superheroes in general, because Superman is proving that there is still a huge appetite for superhero movies. I think it's just Marvel has been so sullied by their bad movies over the last few years that people are just kind of yawning at it.
Yeah,
which puts Marvel in a weird spot, because they finally had this come to Jesus moment and said, what if we made good movies? Oh. And then they fucking hoisted up the guy who suggested that like some kind of hero, but they're not performing that well in the box office.
Anyway, my point is that, again, if you release shit for years, don't expect people to be like, oh, wait, maybe this one's going to be good. Maybe it's going to be good this time for sure, guys. Yeah, that level of optimism died 3 years ago. In my opinion, I think the first one that they kind of fucked up on was Black Panther 2. With Chadwick Boseman gone, and with Killmonger gone as the main villain, what the fuck are we doing? What is this, Captain Marvel? Well, Captain Marvel, like, it was silly, but I could kind of see it.
So, like, it sucks to see that, and it's weird because now they do fully understand that they need to have quality films in order to stay competitive and stay generating unfathomable amounts of money. But the general audience has kind of turned their backs on them and don't really care to hop back into the Marvel train.
Yeah.
So they have some good films, but now the audience isn't, you know, ferociously starving to consume it anymore.
You don't have the same brand value of the characters. That's why.
But they have, of course, like the core community of like Marvel enthusiasts that are going to see every film they put out regardless. It's just now they're having a harder time reaching beyond that scope, even with extremely positive word of mouth.
Yeah, sure.
It definitely is a weird predicament for them to be in. I feel like they waited too long to finally start realizing we got to try again. They can't just coast to $1 billion every time.
I don't think it will matter. I think that the reason why Superman probably did so well is because it's Superman. It's like the most famous hero ever, right? And so that's another huge reason why, too.
I think the path going forward for Marvel isn't it's a recognizable IP. Fall back into old ways or something and make like really uninteresting, boring super slop. But instead, continue with this focus of making things that are actually interesting and good, like Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four, but find a way to do it without the extraordinarily bloated budget.
Yeah.
They are not going to be making as much money as they used to. They're going to need to find a way to deliver quality productions for a fraction of the cost. They can't just mindlessly dump hundreds of millions of dollars into every single Marvel everything these days. That time is behind us now. That is in the past. I think they need to start analyzing their budgets a little tighter and figuring out ways of being creative with it so they can deliver these same kind of movies that are strong, but without eating a loss on them. Like Thunderbolts, that's a film that probably didn't need $450 million box office run to break even. You probably could have delivered that same level of film for less money, so that way the 380 that it did generate could have already been at your break even.
What he's saying with this is the exact same problem that video games have too. It's that a game like Assassin's Creed Shadows, if they only made it for like $50 million, then good for them, right? You made a good game, you're probably going to make some money maybe. But the issue is that these video games have such massive budgets, like Diablo 4 is another good example, is that they need to effectively be cultural phenomenons in order for them to be able to make their money back. And betting on being a cultural zeitgeist is pretty risky. Definitely very risky. And usually you lose.
Like, I think these budgets are super overblown, which isn't specific, like, exclusive to just Marvel. It's Hollywood in general. Like, that fucking Netflix stinker, Electric State, had a, what, $300 million...
I have never even heard of this. It's insane to me whenever somebody puts, like, oh, yeah, this movie had, like, a third of $1 billion put into it. This is the first time I've ever heard of this movie. The fuck is that?
And that was abominable. Like, it really feels like there's some kind of fraudulent bookkeeping going on over there, some kind of fucking scam, but that's a topic I've already yapped about a lot. Point is, for Marvel now, they probably realize that the audience isn't just going to blindly eat everything that they feed them. They need to keep delivering good movies.
Well, they can't rely on capitalizing on IP that has 50 years of cultural relevance. That's a very big difference. And that's why they tried to do something like Ironheart. Is because Ironheart is derivative of Iron Man.
To find a way to make them for less money, so that way the box office runs don't need to be colossal, historic, record-breaking performances in order to generate any level of profit. Though, admittedly, I think there's a chance Marvel learns the opposite lesson, that people don't want good movies. Like, they'll turn to Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four and be like, well, we tried a quality approach. That didn't work. Let's go back to quantity. That would be a real shame.
But
I think there is a chance. Like, these zombies in suits, they could very well look at these box offices and be like, this was a failure. This experiment didn't work. That guy that we hoisted up about, like, what if we made good movies? Time to fire him. Fucking throw him out that window. That was a terrible idea. We lost money on it. We're going to go back to quantity and just really generic, safe, boring slop.
I do think that also another thing that they did is that they devalued the permanence of anything in the world when they added in the idea of multiverses. I am a big advocate of never having time travel unless your story is completely built around it. I didn't even like an Endgame when they did it. I thought it was stupid. What the fuck is this? Time travel, multiverses, everything like that, it makes everything that happens in the story completely inconsequential. It's like it doesn't matter anymore. It's the same thing that happened like whenever Dragon Ball Z happened. Whenever Goku or Vegeta died for the first time, it was like, holy fuck, oh my god. But like when this happens for the third or the fourth time, theoretically, it's not that big of a deal because it's already happened before. Do you see kind of what I'm saying here with this?
That's what the people want, clearly. I'd hate to see that, but I think there is a chance. I can only hope they don't go that direction. But anyway, though, I wanted to just talk about this a bit. I found it interesting to see Marvel is no longer like the guaranteed infinite money glitch juggernaut that it used to be. Though, of course, it is still making tons of money in the box office. It's like it's not like it's all doom and gloom. It's just in a weird spot right now where it's not guaranteed success every time.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's about it. So, yeah.
They need to get away from this idea of alternate universes and multiverses. All they do is they diminish and make less meaningful these stories in each one. Poor writing, poor acting, and lame agendas milking a franchise. I don't even think it's that complicated. If you can believe it, like I actually don't think it's that complicated at all. I think it is literally this simple. The games haven't been that, sorry, the movies haven't been that good, so people are just expecting the new ones to be bad. It's literally that. Alternate universes kills canon? Yeah, exactly. And so that's pretty much what's going on. I don't have superhero fatigue. I have Disney fatigue. Yeah, I mean, the stories are just shitty. I mean, you look at, again, Superman. Remember the Batman movie? Did the Batman movie do well? I think it did, right? I'm pretty sure it did do well. I could be wrong about this.